Caitlyn Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlyn Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these people that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
History has been made yet again, and you already know who's behind it. Caitlyn Clark.
If I was the WNBA, I would have considered a separate television package to a network on just Caitlyn Clark games. I would have had two packages, the WNBA package, and then a separate, let's say 15 to 18 game Caitlyn Clark package.
The Indiana Fever isn't just another team in the WNBA anymore. They've officially been crowned the #1 team in the USA. And no, this isn't just some media hype. This is the reality the league can no longer ignore.
Whether you like the Indiana Fever or not, whether you like Caitlyn Clark or not, it has gotten to the point where we can no longer deny the fact that they are the biggest draw in the WNBA, and they proved that all of last season.
From shattering viewership records to selling out arenas nationwide, Caitlyn Clark has single-handedly changed the game. But of course, not everyone is happy. The haters are scrambling for excuses, the critics are running out of narratives and rival players.
How the Atlanta Dream owner said that they were moving venues only because of a scheduling conflict. It wasn't because the Indiana Fever were coming in town. Like, they made up some weird excuse. Boycott watching the Indiana Fever games. You are only doing that if you don't care about anyone else.
Well, let's just say they're watching their own spotlight fade. But while they whine, the Fever shine. 41 out of 44 games on national TV? That's not favoritism. It's pure, undeniable demand. So buckle up, because today we're breaking down exactly how Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever just took over women's basketball for good.
The recent news that 41 out of the 44 Indiana Fever games will be nationally televised. I do not think a lot of people are understanding just how big that is. That is something that the WNBA players, WNBA media, WNBA fans have been begging for so many years.
And spoiler alert, it's only the beginning. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't just about Caitlyn Clark. This is about a movement that has turned the Indiana Fever into the most watched, most talked about, and most profitable team in the WNBA. And the numbers don't lie.
The league wasn't ready for her last year. They just weren't prepared.
Yeah.
She was prepared.
She's had a full offseason now to rest.
No. She's going to be great. The league just didn't know what to do.
Get the MVP tickets in, just bet them to win the championship. It's fun. And then you get to watch all our games.
A few years ago, the Indiana Fever was struggling. They were a bottom-tier team, barely making headlines, playing in half-empty arenas, and getting little to no national coverage. Fast forward to now, and they're the biggest draw in the league. And what changed? One name: Caitlyn Clark. The Fever went from playing in front of a few thousand fans to selling out entire arenas, home and away.
This one blew up. I don't know who this person is, but they said all Caitlyn Clark has done is be white.
A lot of people who aren't fans of the Indiana Fever or don't want to see this happening, they're mad about it, but they're also not realizing that all of the other teams will also be on national TV.
The demand for Indiana Fever games has skyrocketed so much that 6 teams have been forced to move their home games to bigger arenas just to accommodate the flood of fans wanting to see Clark in action. But let's talk about the real game changer, the national TV schedule. 41 out of 44 games are now being broadcast across major networks like ABC, ESPN, CBS, and Prime Video. That's more national exposure than the WNBA champions.
Broadcast this season, ooh-wee, big-time doubleheader. Angel Reese, Caitlyn Clark, they meet in the season opener.
Indiana Fever put this out, all eyes on us.
With such star power on those teams, it's really no surprise they're atop the list for the most games available for you to check out on a national scale.
Caitlyn Clark once again dominates WNBA national TV schedule.
The Fever, they lead the league with 41 games here, followed by the Aces, 33, the champion Liberty at 32.
41 of our 44 games are on national television, the most television games in franchise history, the most national television games for a single team in WNBA history. I'm sure this is because of Angel Reese.
In fact, it's the most national TV games any WNBA team has ever had in a single season. And let's be honest, the WNBA didn't give them this coverage. They earned it. Think about it. Networks don't put teams on primetime TV out of kindness. They do it for ratings and money. And what's bringing in the biggest ratings? Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever.
These networks are not thinking about hurting feelings. These networks are thinking about how much money can we bring in.
Last season, every Fever game broke records. A random regular season Fever game pulled in over 2.2 million viewers, more than the WNBA Finals. That's unheard of. And while critics like to cry about fairness, here's the truth. Every single team in the WNBA is benefiting from this.
With everyone trying to diminish the wave that was happening, the Clarkonomics that were happening, the Caitlyn Clark effect that was happening, and realizing it is not only going to be good for this Indiana Fever team, it's going to be great for everyone. It's going to be great for every single player in the WNBA and also every single team in the WNBA.
When the Fever play, their opponents get the biggest spotlight they've ever had. That's why Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky, the New York Liberty, and the Las Vegas Aces are all getting national TV slots because they get to play against Caitlyn Clark.
The Liberty and Aces, they're going to clash here 3 times. All 3 of those are on ABC and ESPN. The Fever and the Sky, they meet 5 times. Caitlyn Clark, the revamped Fever, they look to build on their success.
There have been 6 teams that have changed venues when the Indiana Fever come to play. All of these arenas are selling out.
So while the haters whine about the Fever getting all the attention, the reality is that Caitlyn Clark is carrying the entire league's visibility on her back. And the WNBA knows it. That's why they're making sure every game she plays is available to the world. Because whether you love her or hate her, you will be watching Caitlyn Clark this season. And that's just a fact. If you think Caitlyn Clark's impact stops at TV ratings, think again. This isn't just about basketball. This is about business. The WNBA has been struggling for years to gain mainstream attention, fighting to fill seats and bring in consistent revenue. And now, thanks to Caitlyn Clark, they're seeing a financial and cultural boom like never before.
Sigh, I missed the Unrivaled already. They're mad. Caitlyn Clark didn't play in that league. They want her out. They want you fans out of the league.
Angel Wilson's talking about sitting out for more money. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever, hey, we're putting every game on TV for Caitlyn Clark. Everybody wants to watch her.
This is the year that they want to do whatever they possibly can to show that they deserve more and also be profitable.
One of the worst WNBA fans and one of CC's biggest haters is already complaining. They don't like the game of basketball at all. They just want to support Reese. I've said the majority of her fans are not Hoops fans.
Let's start with ticket sales. Before Clark, the Indiana Fever was just another struggling franchise. Now, they're the hottest ticket in sports. Last season, Fever home games drew over 340,000 fans, a 319% increase from the previous year. That's right, a team that barely cracked 80,000 attendees in 2023 suddenly saw a historic rise, all because of one player. And it's not just Indiana, this is happening everywhere.
More people are getting on board. More people are watching women's basketball. More people are watching women's college basketball. Do not slow the momentum because of ego.
Caitlyn Clark draws massive viewership and other teams don't. Caitlyn Clark averaged about 1.2 million viewers per game and the rest of the league about 400 to 500,000.
WNBA teams are now moving venues when Caitlyn Clark comes to town. Think about that. These franchises, who have played in the same small arenas for years, are suddenly shifting their biggest games to NBA-sized stadiums just to meet demand. Let's break it down. The Chicago Sky, moving games to the United Center, the home of the Bulls, the Dallas Wings, upgrading to the American Airlines Center, where the Mavericks play. The Atlanta Dream, taking over the State Farm Arena, home of the Hawks. The Connecticut Sun, playing in the legendary TD Garden, home of the Celtics.
Give me Angel Reese, give me Caitlyn Clark, because this has been box office, y'all. The young guns, the young stars have come to play. Angel at Unrivaled, training with Lisa, Leslie, and Caitlyn. We all know that girl. She lives, breathes, eats, sleeps in the gym. So I am so excited to see that matchup, those two, because anytime they go up against each other, honestly, the whole world shuts down.
Yep.
Everything shuts down.
Yep.
This isn't just a fluke. This is the Caitlyn Clark effect in real time. Teams know that when the Fever comes to town, they're not just playing a game, they're hosting the biggest basketball event of the season. More seats mean more revenue, and more revenue means a stronger, more profitable WNBA.
6 WNBA networks set ratings records this season, all Caitlyn Clark. 23 WNBA games drew more than 1 million viewers. Clark played in 20 of them.
And let's talk about merchandise sales. Caitlyn Clark's jersey sales are breaking records, not just in the WNBA, but across all sports. Last season, her jersey outsold every player in the league combined. And the Fever? They're now one of the top-selling franchises in all of women's sports. That's what happens when you have a superstar leading the way. The numbers don't lie. Fever games accounted for half of the WNBA's national TV revenue last season. The WNBA saw a 48% increase in total attendance across the league. More games passed the 1 million viewer mark in 2024 than in the previous 20 years combined. And what's the common denominator in all of this? Caitlyn Clark.
The WNBA Draft and All-Star Game demolished their viewership records with Caitlyn Clark. The Diana Taurasi draft drew 600,000. It was the most watched draft ever. Caitlyn Clark's draft drew nearly 2.5 million. 374% increase of viewership. Fever quadrupled ticket sales after drafting Clark. Washington and Indiana set the single game attendance record of 20,711 on September 19 Capital One Arena. The WNBA's average attendance last year was 9,807 fans, up 48%. And keep in mind, that was really one person that added those 3,000 fans on average.
This is exactly what WNBA players and fans have been demanding for years. More exposure, bigger crowds, and higher revenue. And now that it's happening, some people want to act like it's a problem. Let's be real. The only reason the WNBA is seeing this level of success is because Caitlyn Clark has turned this league into must-watch TV. She's not just growing the game, she's redefining it.
Caitlyn Clark, the Indiana Fever schedule has come out. We now know how many national games they got. The Indiana Fever is America's team, but the old WNBA fans are furious over it. They're mad. They're crying.
Of course, with all this success, there's bound to be backlash. And if there's one thing that's become crystal clear, it's this. Caitlyn Clark's dominance isn't sitting well with everyone. While fans are selling out arenas to watch her play, while TV networks are making record profits from her games, and while she's elevating the WNBA to heights it's never seen before, there are still those who are doing everything in their power to tear her down.
And what's killing me is it's the fans that are demanding that these players make more money, but they don't want to support the very player that's causing that money to be made. They can't stand her. We know why. We watched the poor young lady get demolished last year.
But why? What's the real issue here? 1. The manufactured rivalries and unfair criticism. Let's start with the fake rivalries that the media and certain players keep pushing. The most obvious one, Caitlyn Clark versus Angel Reese.
The Indiana Fever is America's team. The haters, by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. It's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
From the moment Clark stepped into the WNBA, this so-called rivalry has been shoved down everyone's throats. Every time these two face off, the media turns it into some dramatic battle. But let's be honest, this rivalry is more about off-court drama than actual basketball. Caitlyn Clark isn't the one fueling it. She's focused on winning, breaking records, and making history. Meanwhile, Angel Reese and others keep finding ways to keep the drama alive, whether it's by throwing shade in interviews, liking posts that bash Clark, or making it seem like she's some kind of undeserving golden child. And yet, despite all the noise, who's the one actually delivering results on the court? Caitlyn Clark.
The Indiana Fever will have more nationally televised games this season than the last two WNBA champions. Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever get the most airtime because they're America's team, baby. Deal with it. Slows. Growing the game doesn't mean focusing on one player and her toxic MAGA cult fans. As for Caitlyn Clark, the player,
she doesn't need trash talk or drama to prove her worth. Her numbers, her wins, and her impact speak for themselves. 2. The she's overhyped argument. One of the laziest and most ridiculous takes floating around is that Caitlyn Clark is only popular because of the media. Seriously, let's break this down. Clark didn't ask for 41 nationally televised games. The networks chose her because she brings in viewers. She didn't beg for her jersey to be the best-selling in WNBA history. Fans bought it because they want it. She didn't force other teams to move their games to bigger arenas. The demand was simply too high to ignore.
this is the national broadcast schedule against the Sky. It's an ABC broadcast network television game. New York Liberty, it's a CBS game. These are all going to be big rated games. CBS against the Sky, ABC against the Liberty. Here's Asia Wilson right here in the Aces on 622 on ESPN. Right here, ABC, Dallas Wings. All the Indiana Fever versus Sky games are on big networks. One of these games is going to hit 3 million viewers this year.
The numbers don't lie. The WNBA has been around for nearly 30 years, and no player, not Diana Taurasi, not Candace Parker, not Sue Bird, has ever had this kind of impact.
WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games. You know what the increase was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance? 48%. That's massive. That's the Caitlyn Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
If Caitlyn Clark gets injured, it's over with. Tom.
Every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlyn Clark doesn't get injured because she's keeping your league afloat.
Clark isn't just riding a wave. She is the wave. And let's not forget, when male athletes revolutionize their sport, they're celebrated. Nobody calls LeBron James overhyped for carrying the NBA. Nobody calls Patrick Mahomes overexposed for being the face of the NFL. But when a woman comes along and dominates the conversation, suddenly it's a problem. The hypocrisy is unreal.
We got an article from Front Office Sports. 6 WNBA teams have moved games versus Caitlyn Clark in the Fever. Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden. Dallas Wings have moved 1 game to American Airlines Center. Las Vegas Aces have moved 1 game, and the Mystics have 2 games moved.
3. The reluctance to acknowledge her impact. Perhaps the most telling thing in all of this is how so many people refuse to give Clark the credit she deserves, even though she's responsible for record-breaking ratings, even though she's the reason the WNBA is making more money than ever, even though she's elevated every single player in the league just by existing. Some people still act like she's just lucky or that the league is forcing her success. Meanwhile, WNBA stars like Angel Reese and Nafisa Collier are out here threatening to sit out the season unless they get paid more. And guess what? They're only in a position to demand more because of Caitlyn Clark's impact on revenue. The irony is staggering.
The association, they gave us a gym that I paid for. Not entirely, but they took money out of my check and I paid for it, bro.
You better get the fucking full usage of that.
Man, I got hot tub, cold tub, weight room, full court basketball room. I walk in today, I'm on one side working out, Caitlyn Clark on the other side.
Really?
I look at myself, there you go, 2 fucking legends, Patty.
Did you say what's up?
You know I say what's up, but I'm not the type to say what's up to interrupt your workout because I don't like people to interrupt mine. She can shoot the shit out of it.
And the WNBA assist leader this past year.
She can shoot the shit out the ball.
She's a great shooter.
And she's one of those workout people, you know, got to think, anytime I hit the court, I got to hit that bike. I'm older now, so I got to get on that bike and stroll for a couple 5, 6, 7 minutes. So while I'm strolling through the park, I'm looking at her shoot it. And she's one of those shooters where if you know as a gym rat, you guys know, like, damn, bro, why you throw that pass bad? Give me the ball in my chest. I'm like, oh, she's a gangster also.
She's lighting people up.
Throw me the ball the way I want it.
What drill was it? What drill was she running?
I don't know. She was doing a 2 in a row corner wing. And if you miss, you have to go back to the next spot. And if you missed again, you have to go back to the starting spot. She had a nice drill. I'm literally still in it.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
At the end of the day, the backlash isn't about basketball. It's not about fairness. It's about ego, jealousy, and an unwillingness to accept reality. Caitlyn Clark is the biggest thing to ever happen to the WNBA, and instead of embracing it, some people would rather fight it, even if it means hurting the league in the process.
Now you got universities trying to defend Angel Reese and make her out as the victim. Newly published study from Rice University and the University of Illinois at Chicago takes a data-driven look at one of the most polarizing sports controversies in recent memory, the Angel Reese versus Caitlyn Clark debate from the 2023 NCAA Championship. During the title game between LSU and the University of Iowa, Caitlyn Clark, the Iowa star guard, made a now famous "you can't see me" hand gesture, a taunt originally popularized by wrestler John Cena. Without much controversy, however, when LSU's Angel Reese made the same gesture towards Clark in the closing moments of the game, the reaction was starkly different. Reese was immediately labeled as classless and unsportsmanlike by some media personalities and fans, sparking a nationwide discussion about double standards in sports, race, and gender. Now a new study quantifies what many already suspected. Public and media reactions to Reese and Clark were not just different, but radicalized. Before, during, and after the game, to unpack the racial dynamics at play, the study found that Clark was largely celebrated, Reese was disproportionately criticized, often with racial undertones.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how much they complain, how many excuses they make, or how many narratives they try to spin. Caitlyn Clark's impact is undeniable, and whether they like it or not, she's here to stay. At this point, there's no more debate. Caitlyn Clark has changed the WNBA forever. The Indiana Fever isn't just another team anymore, they're the biggest attraction in the league. From record-breaking TV ratings to sold-out arenas nationwide, the Fever has officially been crowned the #1 team in the USA, and it's all because of Clark's unmatched impact on and off the court.
Most influential female athletes right now: Coco Gauff, 10, Juju Watkins, number 9, Cameron Brent, 8, Paige Beckers, number 7, Sabrina Ionescu, number 6, Asia Wilson. So Asia's not going to be happy either. Jakari Richardson was number 4, Simone Biles, number 3, right here. I can't quite get past the fact that Simone Biles is behind Angel Reese. Caitlyn Clark, she ran away with number 1. I don't think that should surprise us. She came away with number 1. Caitlyn Clark is redefining the entire landscape of women's sports. Her dominance on the court has shattered outdated narratives about women's sports, proving that women's basketball can be just as marketable and widely watched as men's. But the Caitlyn Clark effect goes far beyond her performance. It's reshaping the entire sports landscape. Her presence alone boosts the WNBA attendance by 105% compared to games without her, while road games featuring her Indiana Fever see an 87% increase in opponent home attendance. Her rookie debut sparked a staggering 200% jump in WNBA viewership, while Fever home games drew a league-high 186,000 fans last season, a 265% increase from 2023.
And sure, the haters will keep whining. The critics will keep searching for ways to downplay her success. But guess what? None of it matters. Because while they complain, Caitlyn Clark is out here winning, making history and carrying the league to new heights. So the real question isn't whether Caitlyn Clark will continue to dominate, it's just how big this movement will get. And judging by what we've seen so far, this is only the beginning. If you're ready to watch Clark and the Fever take over this season, smash that like button, subscribe for more updates, and let us know in the comments, how many records do you think Caitlyn will break next? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.